Hi, you made it to my channel, Niche Gaming. I'm going to continue with my Let's Play of Final Fantasy 1, the PSP edition, PSP remake. This is the 20th anniversary edition. Basically, what we're doing today is we're going to handle Pravoka. We got to Pravoka. We arrived at Pravoka with all three of our parties. And what we're going to do today is go through Pravoka, get the ship, of course. And then, of course, we're going to explore Elfheim Castle, or the Elf Castle. Then we're going to also explore that whole area around Elfheim. We're going to level up. Main objective in this one is obviously to explore the main stuff to explore. What we really need to achieve by the end of the video is, with all three of our parties, get ready for the Marsh Cave. The Marsh Cave and the crown and all, get that process started. So we have to go to the Marsh Cave first, and for that we have to prepare. We have to prepare with getting our spells, getting equipment upgraded, getting our levels high enough so we can handle all the enemies and the long drought of Marsh Cave. Very important for any kind of dungeon. You got to have good preparation. Preparation in terms of levels, preparation in terms of money, so you can buy potions and antidotes and everything else that we need. So we really need to prepare for Marsh Cave, but we'll get to that at the very end. We're not going to really go into Marsh Cave in this one. That starts in the next video, but in this video we're going to explore these whole areas, everywhere you can get to with Pravoka, everywhere you can get to with the ship at this point. We'll explore that, and all throughout Elfheim, where you can walk around Elfheim. Basically everywhere we can go, we're going to explore, and we're going to level up, and we're going to learn about the different enemies we can fight there and all that stuff. We're going to do all of that in this episode. And as is typical, just like I did in the last episode, what we're going to do is have the fighter, red mage, black belt, white mage party start as my first party, my main party. And then what we'll do in the second party is we'll skip through whatever we need to. Just I'll show the main fights and everything, and I'll show my preparation with those parties, but I'll skip through as much as I possibly can in terms of the monotonous and repetitive stuff. Our main party here, that's what I'm going to show all the story with and talk with all the townsfolk, just like I did in the first one. Second party, obviously, if you don't know, if you didn't watch my first one, is fighter, red mage, white mage, black mage. And my third party, fighter, red mage, thief, and black belt. So we'll go in that order, and like I said, I'll go through the story with my main party here. So this one will go the slowest, because actually we'll go through all the story parts and not skip through anything. And of course I'll have chapters so you can skip through and get to the part of the video that you really want to see. To fight this, or to get the ship, you just have to go to this pirate who's taken over this town of Pravoka. Just beat his little pirates, and they're all super easy. You don't even really need to do protect with your white mage, but she's the only one who can really take significant damage from anyone because she has almost no defense. Very simple. My strategy here is with the red mage, just use a sleep spell, and that's my same strategy with my black mage party and other party, is just use a sleep spell, and even it's not really necessary because it's just so weak. Even your white mage can kill them with one hit. You just want to attack all of them, but it's a good strategy in general. Like maybe with the actual difficult fight is put as many enemies to sleep. Let's say wargwolves and werewolves, if they have a big pack of them, it's always a good idea to maybe put them to sleep. But it was totally unnecessary with this one because they're so easy to beat. So what I'll be doing here is I'll be discovering where you can go, kind of exploring at the same time as leveling up. So what I'll be doing, obviously going with this party here to the left, right, wherever you can go, as far as you can go, at the same time you're trying to level up. I do initially, because money is a factor, I do try to conserve your money a little bit, try to get the maximum amount of instays initially because you have so little cash and the enemies you fight don't give you too much. But when you start facing the ogre after ogre, the wolves are better for experience. And pretty much all of your other enemies are better for experience. But the ones that really give you gold are the ogres, as we'll realize by the end of this video. But here I'm trying to go all the areas in Pravoka where you can explore and of course level up and everything. But you do have to be prepared with some antidotes here, because you'll face werewolves and other, maybe cobras. I think not too many cobras, but you do face them. Certain things can poison you. At the topmost tip here, you can actually fight enemies like the giants and frost wolves and creatures that are far more advanced than you're ready at this point. I mean, you can face the giants and survive, even though that's tough, but facing the frost wolves, because they hit you with snowstorm, similar to Ice 2, but it's an enemy skill. And this snowstorm is very powerful for you at this point in the game. Your guys just won't survive an onslaught of 2, 3, probably like 4 snowstorm attacks, unless you get really lucky and you can fire off the fire to Aphira before they can kill you. But it's too risky, I think, at this point. It is huge leveling up if you can get lucky enough to survive even one battle. But I think investing in that is a little risky. When I try it later with my fighter, red mage, white mage, black mage, I mean, that's the right party to try it with. Except that you're just not leveled up nearly enough, and when you get hit with a couple of snowstorms, the only one who survives is your fighter, and you get very lucky to survive. And I'll show you that later, but right now all I can say is, yeah, this is not a good place to level up, although it seems like it would be. Another thing you need to watch out for is when you come down here, there's a risk. Yeah, I know you can explore it technically, just like the northern tip. And when you try to explore certain areas, like you can be ambushed by a bunch of lobsters. Again, things that are for much later in the game. Now, I didn't get hit with any of those this time, but there's a luck factor here and you can be ambushed by creatures that are much more advanced than you're ready to handle. So a bunch of lobsters, for example, 2 hits 60 damage, 2 hits 100 damage, and they'll easily kill you. So you want to stay away from that. But again, the only way you can stay is just not go down to the southern eastern portion where I was just at. Usually your fighter can survive. To try to leave, a lot of them have high agility, so you may not be able to get lucky and run away from the fight. So you can risk it. I just like to explore everything. I don't like to leave anything short there. Again, if you get an encounter there, and especially if you get unlucky and get ambushed by a bunch of lobsters, then you can easily lose your game. So you want to be saving throughout. Final Fantasy, unfortunately, 1 and 2 both have this issue or perhaps challenge or difficulty ingrained into the game, that there are always places where you can technically go. The game gives you access to those places, certain parts where you can have encounters with far greater enemies, but there's no way you can compete against them and they'll just kill you. Final Fantasy 2, that kind of makes sense, but I'll talk about that when I review that game. But here, you can encounter certain things that are much stronger than you can handle. So it is a little bit of a risk, no doubt. Since we're trying to explore everything, I am coming here, although you don't have much of a use to come here except to get information. It's always a good, especially when you're playing the game first time, or generally speaking with RPGs, you're always supposed to try to get as much information as you can so you can figure stuff out. A lot of it's just superfluous and it's a part of the game. Maybe it's fun for you, maybe it's not. Especially when you're replaying the game, try to skip through a lot of things. But if you don't already know or don't remember how to resolve a particular part of the RPG, then it's always good to talk to the townsfolk. Townsfolk or everyone. The dwarves are quite helpful and nice as opposed to dwarves in, let's say, Lord of the Rings. These dwarves are very nice and helpful and welcoming and all that good stuff. But anyway, here you are, you're trying to just get as much information from these dwarves and fully explore all the areas you can explore. He talks to you about the Levy Stone, very important. That's what helps you get your airship, but we'll handle that later. There's 1,000 gold that you can get, but apart from that, there's really not much of a use at this point to come here. You could always come here later. Anyway, we decided to come here now. Now in the ship as well, you can explore a lot of stuff. You're gonna face like the Sahagins, like 30 HP or 28 HP, something like that. They're just high agility and really annoying. You can miss them a lot. And then there's the Red Sahagin and Shark. You'll face them very rarely because you're not open to the entire sea. You're just open to this part of the sea, or Alden Sea, or whatever they're calling it. You're kind of locked inside this part of the world at this early stage of the game. So you're not going to face too many monsters, but you can face sharks and sahagins. And sharks and sahagins are actually a lot more experience in gold. Definitely more experience than you're going to get from the green sahagins. You're not going to face packs of red sahagins and sharks, but you are going to face some, but very rarely in this early part. You're going to face mostly these green sahagins annoyances. I like to hit them with a sleep because they're just so annoying to kill because of their high agility and high evasion. Because all my guys pretty much have a high defense with the exception of the monk, who has okay defense, I would say average at this point for this early stage of the game. And of course the white mage has terrible defense. Apart from her, everyone has okay to great defense, excellent defense, like the fighter and the red mage. So they're okay, the Sahagins are not going to hurt them. Sometimes they come packed with these paralyzing eye things. I think they're just called eyes. And they can just paralyze your guys, and it's just more annoyance. They'll paralyze you. That's a couple more turns that your guy's going to stay paralyzed, especially your fighter. So they're just more annoying than anything else. And wasting a Thundera later on them, it doesn't give you much. It's a more expensive spell than they're really worth. If you were facing packs of red Sahagins, that's a different story. So red Sahagins are the upgrade to the green Sahagins. And of course you do face the Buccaneers. Buccaneers don't give you much experience, but they give you a lot of gold. Buccaneers are just these pirates that you'll face on the sea. Leveling on the sea is okay. I wouldn't recommend it. There's far better ways to level up, but at this early stage of the game, maybe my guys are not too ready for... Also, I'm just trying to get an encounter with the red Sahagin and Shark. The count of spells basically you should have with your red mage. Sleep is the main spell in the first one, and of course he can later get a blink after he becomes a red wizard. So you can get the blink spell and also protect. So that's what the red mage gets. White mage, of course, it's pretty simple. There's only one that you can go without. Now, I would like to have all 4 of the level 3 spells, but you can't. So you have to go without Cura, so I decided to go with Heal, Diera, and No Blaze. Heal heals all of your team members all at the same time, nice and evenly. And No Blaze protects you from thunder attacks. Cura is okay for the red mage. Cura can help. You can even go without Cura, especially when you have Heal or White Mage, and you have Cures. Cura and Curaga, for example, they're good when you want to get a large amount of HP to one individual, but Curaga is the one you really want to make sure you have. Cura is okay. It's not that important. Not nearly as important as Curaga. With the White Mage having so many requirements for the level 3 spells, that's one huge restriction that they left in. You can't change the gameplay too much. I mean, the remakes, they did a lot to improve things, but the one thing they couldn't change is you have a limited amount of level 1, level 2, level 3 spells, 3 only per mage. So it's very important to get the right ones. For the second level spells for the red mage, I go with Invis and I go with Temper. Temper is very important. Invis just helps you get more evasion, helps enemies miss you more. Temper is an important one. Temper is one you cannot go without, especially with a red mage, and he's the only one who can do black magic in this party. So you must give him Temper, absolute must. But what Temper does, especially against the bosses, what it'll do is help the black belt have more attack power per hit. And they stack on top of each other. So you can hit Temper and then give Temper again, and the attack power stacks on top of each other, and he gets more and more powerful. And he can dispatch of entire bosses like they're nothing. So black belt, very important to give him Temper. You need to have someone that can cast it. So red mage is your only option for this one. So Invis, Temper is a level 2 spell, so it's quite cheap to cast as well. And later you can even get Haste. Haste is good too, but Temper, especially for bosses and for strong opponents, is more important to be able to penetrate the defenses with higher attack power. And then of course you can add a Haste on top of the Temper. That's always nice. Invis, Temper, and I forgot the third one. Sorry, did I say No Blaze was protect you from thunder? No, it protects you from fire. So you have second level Null Shock, I think. Null Shock is what it's called. So you want to get that Null Shock, and you want to get all of the nulls. With Red Mage, I think he has to go without one, but the White Mage must have those. Very important. To have the Null Blaze or make way for the Null Blaze for the level 3 is more important, in my opinion, than to have a Cura. Because she's going to use Heal and Cures a lot more than she's going to use Cura. Because Cura, in terms of cost of MP, Cura costs more for the amount of HP that it's healing. And for the level 3, of course, with the Red Mage, Farah, then the next important one is Cura, and then after that, Thundera. You could do Thundera first, but there's just not that many things weak to Thundera, but fire, the creeps are weak to fire, undead are weak to fire, and Dira is the White Mage's undead spell that only affects the undead. Anti-undead spell, that does help. We're here and now we're going to just level up in Elfheim so we can get money for the spells. And I would like to have level 4 spell with your white mage and black mage for all your parties. For this party, obviously I only have a white mage, so very important to get a couple of level 4 spells. But you're not going to get it with a red mage because he gets his level 4 spell later at higher levels, and it's just too monotonous to try to get that up. But at this point of the game, you can get the level 13 or level 14 is what I level up to when I'm ready to go into the Marsh Cave. And that'll get you more than enough money, that'll get you more than enough ability with your white mage. So right now, obviously she can't cast level 4. She will be able to later. So we're done leveling up with this party. We're ready for Marsh Cave. We have a lot of healing already in this party, so we don't really even need that many potions, but we got enough. 30 is more than enough. 20 antidotes is more than enough. You want to have always more than enough, because you may be in the cave for longer, you can just get poisoned again and again and again. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to get completely prepared for Marsh Cave, and we are done. We explored everything we could explore, completely ready to go with the first party. Now we move on to the second party. That is my fighter, red mage, white mage, black mage. For the black mage, you want to get Blizzard. Until much later, Blizzard is going to be useful for at least like 60% of the game. Temper, of course, absolutely vital spell. You'll use your fighter instead of the black belt. And after Temper, Dark and Slow, you can pick your poison. I think Dark is a little more effective. Slow can be effective sometimes. If it's more guaranteed to hit, that's just the point. Is there a chance of it hitting? Might as well go for the Dark, which accomplishes what Slow would accomplish as well. So I think Dark is better. With the red mage and white mage, same thing as before. Invis is one level, obviously Temper with the red mage, and of course Null Shock. You want to have that with one or both at the bare minimum with the white mage, preferably with the red mage if you can afford the slots in your level 2 spells. Those are the main ones you want to go with. With the white mage, you can even do Blindna. Although I think the enemies blinding you in this first Final Fantasy, I think it's broken. I've never seen it. It's a during battle type thing, so I think Blindna might work during battle, but I've never tried it, never had to. It's just never been an issue for me. It wasn't an issue long enough for me to have to worry about it. I would say Blindna is pretty much useless. You could avoid it, but you may get it because there's just nothing else to get with the white mage. And the same strategy here against the pirate. Just use sleep to knock them all to sleep. This party's a little weaker in terms of physical strength, and they can attack your white mage and black mage and do some damage, but put them to sleep and then they can't do much. Because there are 9 of them, and if they all attack your white mage and black mage, or even 3 or 4 hits, that's just a lot of damage. So sleep does help. I decided that with this party, this early on, as soon as you get Thunder and a couple other spells and you fully rest and everything, you can go and just level up a little bit on the sea. It's just with the sea, it's okay. You get Buccaneers sometimes for the money and the Sahagins for the experience. And every now and then you'll even get some sharks and maybe even some Sahagin cheap, the red ones. I wouldn't say it's a great place to level up, but to get maybe one level or something and get some money. Money is totally random. It just depends on how many Buccaneers you fight. If you fight a lot of Buccaneers, you get a lot of money. If not, you won't. You get decent amount of experience though, so it's a place to start as soon as you're done with that Pravoka area. Now there is as I mentioned, the northern tip. I'm gonna do that, but it's gonna end up failing badly because it's just too early for me to go to that northern tip and face those monsters from much later in the game. Obviously, the most important spell that you have to get is Fira. You want to get that right away because that really increases the value of your Black Mage. Thundera as well, but Thundera is not nearly the priority as Fira because Thundera, you just don't have that many things that are weak to Thunder, except on the sea. But you're not facing strong enough monsters to waste a Thundera on them. They're not going to give you too much. You want to have Thundera before you go to the Marsh Cave though, obviously. Because there are things that are not weak to fire, and Thundera will be perfect. Because they're highly resistant to fire, but they're not highly resistant to thunder. They're not weak to it, but they're not highly resistant to it, and so it's a AoE spell and it helps do a good amount of damage. With a white mage, of course, you're going to prioritize heal over Diera and Diera over No Blaze. With your white mage, you always want to have all of the nulls just to help reduce the damage from AoE spells that your enemies will have. So here's where I blunder. I mean, you're facing these winter wolves. They're way above your level at this point. She should do heal right away. So Saphira is the right move here. You want to hit him with a Saphira from your black mage. But if your white mage even gets a chance, which she probably won't, but if she gets a chance, it should be heal. And if your red mage gets a chance, it should be a Saphira. And I don't think I even bought the Saphira with him yet. At this point, it's just about survival. That backfired big time. Let's get back to the inn. It's too early for me to come here. Simply put, they just have much higher agility, and if they can get too many ice storms off, then there's no chance for you. And this was pretty much game over. I got very lucky that I was able to escape this fight. Heal up with the potions, and just get back to the inn. Save all your team. You don't have the life spells yet, but you do have the church thing where you can go to revive your characters. And you'll have to revive all three, obviously. So this was a total fail in terms of leveling up place. All we did was waste money and time. But hey, it happens. You make mistakes here and there. Not a good place to level up just yet. Later it is. Later it's a very good place to level up. And we use it to good effect. What you'll face here repeatedly are well, in this case we face Ogre Chief as well. That's fairly rare for this part. You face more Ogre Chiefs as you're heading towards the castle or Marsh Cave, that part of this Elfheim area. And Blazera is incredibly strong, more than enough to handle 2 ogres and an Ogre Chief. Really, you're going to face a lot more 1 ogre or 2 ogres or 1 ogre and a bunch of creeps. And the best strategy for them is just hit them with a fire 2 or Farah. With this party, of course, it's all a fighter party, and the game progression is so much easier with these guys because there's so many things that are weak to just physical attacks. The game favors physical attacks or favors brawlers, at least for the purpose of progression. But then the final boss is tough with these guys, but we'll get to that much later. Because you lack a white mage, you lack magic, so against certain strong opponents, you're at a disadvantage. But the game progression throughout, right up until the final dungeon pretty much, is where this party excels. And here you just want to beat up all these guys. You can use a sleep, it just helps save time, but it's not like they can hurt any of your guys because you have the highest defense because all of your guys are fighters. The red mage will carry you through in terms of defense for the first half of the game, and then once your thief becomes a ninja, then he provides almost as good as defense as the knight itself. They'll have the knight, the ninja, red mage, and then of course later the black belt or monk will have much better armor because of his own high vitality and his own class, as well as armor that you'll find later. That's much later in the game. For the first half of the game, your red mage is perfect. Temper obviously necessary. You don't have anyone else to do magic in this particular party. You do get black magic later with the thief becoming the ninja, but you want to get the temper for sure. That's always important. And after temper, of course, invis and null shock. You don't have anyone else, so you want to make sure the magic you select for each level is perfect for this party. These guys are handled with a Fira. Your Fira is strong enough even with your red mage that can kill the Giga's worms. All you have to do is focus on the ogre. Black mage, obviously his Fira will be much stronger at this point. Strategy with this party obviously is just beat them. The progression part, the leveling part, I end up always leveling lesser than I do with the other parties. Throughout the game, it's just this party needs the least amount of leveling up, because it's already perfect for the progression of the game. Like I said, this game always favors brawlers. Very simple, just attack everything. And leveling up is easier because you're facing ogres, and later you'll face giants and other things that you use to level up. This party is perfect for it. That's all it does is brawl. You do want to be careful with the little bit of magic, but right now I know exactly which of the magic to pick. Fira, Cura, Thundera. Cura does help in battles sometimes, but Cura is used much less, especially outside of battle. You always want to use Cure instead of Cura, just because of maximum amount of efficiency of MP spent versus actual healing gained. You have so much extra money because you don't have to buy expensive spells except for one character. So the progression, again, so much easier with this party. There are many advantages to this party, and that's why it's one of my favorites. It wasn't one of my favorites in the last game, but definitely in this version, PSP version. It was still fun to play in the first version, but not nearly as effective. So that's it for this episode. We've done everything we need to do to prepare for the Marsh Cave, and of course getting the crown from Astos and all that stuff. And I'll explain basically a little bit about the plot. Right now there's not too much in terms of plot development by this episode. You had some developments in the first episode, and this one all we really did is get the ship, level up, explore what we had, what we could do. We just got the ship brand new, so explore what you can, what you face. The next episode, we really get into the plot. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. Give me a like, share, subscribe if you did. Thanks.